this is everything to build my plant wall. We're finally here. So I will have inserted a clip where I was showing you the blank wall where we're going to be building this plant wall. And I got all of the pieces to hold the plants from Amazon. And there are some other little tools and things that I got from Temu, so I'll be sharing that with you as well. And yeah, I'm gonna just start off by getting everything assembled. And actually first I'm gonna go through and show you, I'll throw up on the screen how I came to putting this together, because it was really a thought process as well. So after I decided where we wanted to put the plant wall in the house, it was a matter of designing it. You want to pick your lighting first before you assemble your plant wall, because that makes it easier for you to design everything around it. You don't want to build your whole plant wall and then be like, oh, now what am I going to do with lighting? Am I near an outlet? Am I near a lighting source? You know, so I feel like that's the best thing to pick. Now, what I used to help me design it was Canva. I went on Canva, just made a blank template and cut and pasted some product photos of all of the things that I had picked out or that I wanted to pick out before I purchased them, and arranged them on a blank white canvas so that I can see, like, is this what I'm thinking? Is this the vibe I'm going for? And that helped me to visualize it, because for me, it was a little difficult to visualize seeing all of the separate listings together on a wall. Some people can like see something and be like, oh, that's gonna fit perfect here. Sometimes I can do that. I can do that with clothes. Anyways, I'm digressing. The point is, it was a little difficult and Canva helped. So that's what I did. And once me and my mom decided on which one we liked best, I think I had 2 layouts with 2 different types of items, or very similar items actually. And we picked the second one. So that is all of the items that are here. I had some pictures. What am I? I was gonna say photos, but then pictures. I had some pictures printed that me and my mom picked out for the photo frame portion. And basically we just kind of started with a centerpiece. And so that round portion that you saw on that round piece, I should say, that you saw on the Canva layout, I'll start with assembling that, because I think that's going to be the hardest to assemble. If there's any assembly, actually, there might not even be any assembly of any of these things. It might just be a matter of hanging it up. So let's get it all unboxed, and then we can kind of go from there. So I purchased all of these pieces from Amazon with my own money. There is a portion of this video that is sponsored by Temu, and I use some of their products to help me put things together. So I will show you that as well. This here is just some, oh, this is not what I thought it was actually, but I do need this too. These are black metal planters, and they're gonna hang in succession like that, like so, in one area. So that's these, and it came with some mounts and screws, so that'll be easy. I'm glad that these pieces are relatively small, because although that wall is huge, I don't really have huge plants to put in them. And two, the weight of you don't want to put too much weight on the wall, especially if you're not using a stud, if you're using a mount. So these two go together. They're going to kind of hang like that on the wall. Oh, there's a third one. And same thing. How come this one is not, oh, okay. This one is detached, but I don't know if it's broken or. Okay, Amazon. These are what I thought I was opening before. These are little white square pots, because there are a bunch of spots like this where there isn't a pot that it has, but it can hold a small plant. So I got these cute little tiny things. These are tinier than I expected, but it's probably for the best, because it couldn't hold anything much more. Like it could, but should it? So maybe some tiny succulent can go here, or a tiny 1 or 2 leaf cutting of something can go here. Okay, oh, okay. So these are some other similar triangle shaped wall planters. I'll So black, but these are ceramic. And I believe these have a frame. So these are nice. They're painted nice. And I like, again, that they're not too big. I have a feeling when I show my mom this, she's gonna be like, they're so small. I think it's good that they're small. All right, how does this work? Oh, okay, there we go. Uh-oh. Okay, so it'll hang like that. This is so cute. I'm excited about this one. Yeah, I like this one. I wanted this plant wall to be kind of like a clean, fresh, contemporary, simple, modern look. I didn't want it to be too heavy. I didn't want it to be too earthy because, again, the apartment that we live in is super industrial and modern. That just would not go to me. And I didn't want too many plants on the wall because I didn't want too much maintenance. When you start getting large pieces up on the wall, you gotta make sure it's super secure. And I don't have a bunch of large plants to put anyway, so I prefer small pieces. The dogs are staring at me because it's their dinner time. I'm gonna feed you. Just let me get this all situated. Some more mounts. I'm kind of shocked there's only 2 screws though. Like, is that all this needs? Instructions on, oh no instructions, just a receipt. Okay. Yikes, sorry guys. And here it is. So yeah, it's a lot smaller than I expected. A lot smaller. I'm not sure if this is gonna be okay. So let me leave this tag on here. So those 2 mounts are for these 2 little pieces here. I don't know. It'll keep the plant small for sure, but this piece I would have liked it for it to be bigger. And again, it has this wood in here, but this is actual, some type of actual wood. Whether it's, I don't know, it's actual wood though. I don't mind that because it doesn't look fake. And then the last part are the frames. We have a couple of frames that are going to be laid out as well. This one here, a smaller one, and then a larger one. This is nice. I like this. Even the fake pictures that are in here are nice. These 2 frames here. This one, okay, they are both have a slight gloss to them. So these will be kind of assorted around as well to make the plant wall a little more personal and not just a bunch of plants, but you know, pieces of me and my family. I think the first thing I'm gonna do, like I mentioned, is getting this up first, because if I get this up on the wall and I completely hate it because of how small it is, we might have to revisit this. But if I feel like, you know, even though it's small, the space is, it's a big wall, but I'm not intending to fill the full wall because the dog's bowls are off to the side. So let's just go and see. So I just wanted to walk you guys through the process here to give you a little more context of exactly how I hung everything. As a reminder, this is a DIY project, not a professional at all. I did use a hand drill, a hammer, and a screwdriver. All of the pieces came with mounts, plastic mounts that you put first. So you'll see me often using the drill first by just putting a hole in the wall. Once the hole is in the wall, you do have to use a bit, the right size bit, excuse me, in order to make the hole large enough for the plastic mount to fit. Once you have your plastic mount in, that is where you then will screw in the screws that come with the hanging, whether it's the frame or the wall mount itself. We did a lot of back and forth with this entire project. I had my mom the entire time standing across the room and kind of guiding me higher, lower, even or not. You can definitely use some rulers or a leveler to help you out with that. I didn't mind it being not perfect. So we didn't use any levelers or anything like that. We just used our eyes and a pen or pencil to mark, you know, where we decided to place things. And after we put each thing on the wall, we always stepped back and looked again before we placed the next thing. So yeah, each group of items we did kind of try to visualize it before putting it there. Again, I marked things first and then made a hole with a bit. After the hole is there, then you put your mounts in. If you are placing them on studs, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're placing them on studs, you don't exactly need the mounts. I did not have a stud finder, so I always used the plastic mount that came with it. It's now into the evening. We are running on fluorescent light bulbs. Lighting is not great, but we're still pushing through. This section we had a really hard time with. It took us a long time to organize these three pieces here, and I think it was because it was three, maybe, I don't know, we just couldn't, it felt crowded and bunched on this side. But again, we didn't want to go too far out because right next to that I have my dog's bowls and I don't want the plants hanging over them. We have decided to split the three pieces and put the one with the other. As you can see, I'm clearly relieved because it was a little bit of a project. It didn't take as long as I thought it was going to take, and it was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, but it did take time. So here I'm just trying to figure out what plants I want to put on the wall, what looks good where. So I left everything in the nursery pots and just kind of placed them here and there, switched them around to see what I thought would look best, but then also keeping in mind how the plant grows, like how is it going to look over time. So I just played around with it, moved things around until, it seemed right, and then I had to get my lights right. And yeah, that was basically the process. So as y'all saw in the previous clip, I bought a couple of plants for the wall to add to it. So I'm gonna pop them up really quick. Before I do, I have a quick little review for Temu. They offered some products, so I ordered some. They offered to send me some products, I should say. So I ordered some to help me out with this project. And always gotta love some clear pots. This is plastic. It's pretty hard plastic. It's nice. No drainage, cute little square. I think this was $2 or $3. And then this came as a set, a little shovel set for my soil mix. If you need to make a little hole in your soil, things you might need when you're potting stuff up. So this is nice as well. It's a decent strength plastic. It's not super flimsy, and it comes in all kinds of colors. And then something else I really like, which I will definitely be putting together, probably, if not today, definitely tomorrow, smart plugs for my grow lights in my room. So this one is a double, and I will let you know. I haven't used it just yet, but I'll set it up and show a clip of it at some point in this video. And basically you're able to put it into one outlet, put two things in there, which is good because I have one, but it only has one single one. So now I can put two lights in here. Both of them will be on the app where I can put a timer and you can power them from here. So that's great. I love that. Two other things I got non-plant related were, where is it? It was just a throw in because you have to spend a certain amount of money to get the free whatever, and it was this brush which I was highly disappointed in. I did use it, as you can see, because there is hair in it, but it's a baby brush. It is so small. I like these Tangle Teezer brushes, and I bought this because it had a handle, because the one I have doesn't have a handle. It's a baby brush. It's too small, and these bristles are too soft. They are not strong enough to tangle my hair. Detangle my hair, I should say. And the other one, I don't have it with me, is a little radio, which is pretty powerful and it works really good. A Bluetooth radio. I use it at work. I'll show a clip of it on the screen. That was about $9 and change, or maybe $11. It works really well. It's a little odd because the buttons to change the song or the volume or the power is on the bottom and the speaker's on the top. I guess you could put it on the side, but it's round. I don't know, but it works well. It has a good volume. So I love it. So let's get into potting up these plants so we can finish this wall.
Baby, you don't know what you do to me. Between me and you, I feel like chemistry. I won't let no one come and take your place. Cause the love you give, you can't be replaced. See no one else, let me like you do. That's why I'm spend my
So I got everything potted up last night, so I want to put everything up on the wall now, the last few finishing touches. I will say I do wish that I had showered the plants down first before putting them up on the wall. They're not bad, but some of them are a little bit dusty. And then after this, I will give you guys a full-on tour of everything, all the close-ups of how everything is looking. This really was an enjoyable project to put together. I thought it was going to be more difficult to get all the shelves up, and it was actually pretty easy. So I am pleasantly surprised. I'm just loosening all the screws because these planters hook and slide on. I think this one is the smallest one. Oh look, okay, that comes right off. It was a little dusty. So I'm not sure if I showed it in the clip of me potting these up yesterday, but I used some plant stakes and just staked down some of the vines that were bare into the soil so that, this was kind of difficult, so that it could root along the stem and make it a fuller plant. Yeah, this is the hard part. Okay, oop, no, we didn't get it. So that's the only thing I don't like about these planters. And I don't even think it's the hook and slide thing because I like that it's hook and slide. It's these anchors are not that great. So if you have your own anchors or you want to pick up your own anchors, they're not that great. And the other issue is that the hole, I think that's more of what the issue is. The hole doesn't line up that well. The hole on these planters is a little bit smaller than or it's the same size as the screw, so it doesn't always fit. So I had to use a butter knife to like open up the hole a little bit. I'm just tightening the screw back. You don't have to tighten the screw back, but I just feel a little bit better, you know, when you tighten it back. Okay, that one's good. Trying not to block y'all, but almost impossible. I messed this one up with a butter knife. Okay. All right, that wasn't too bad. That was not too bad. Oh, gee, I love this. Okay, now this one, I do wish this was a smaller plant. This is super full already, and I kind of wish that it was a little bit smaller, but we'll work with it, it's fine. Now I could have made the hole for the anchor too large, and that might be part of the issue here. I am not a professional, I am a DIYer using my butter knife to open up this hole a little bit more. Don't do this at home. I don't want to make it, there we go, okay. Whew, we got it. There we go. Now that these are up here, I most likely will water them in on the wall and not take them down just because of how much of a pain it is. And I wouldn't have to tighten this if it wasn't for the anchor being full, like not feeling secure as it could be. Let me get so I can trim some leaves. So the only thing that I really want to trim is this vine here. I want it to be super bushy and kind of compact and let it just fill out over time. This one kind of bothers me, but I'm gonna leave it. This one is perfectly fine. This one I want to chop there. And I think that's it. That's all I wanted to do. I have a couple of more small plants on the table I want to put up. Okay, the plant wall is completed. Can we believe we're here? I've been talking about this plant wall for probably, definitely a hard 6 to 9 months. Maybe almost a year, I don't know. But we're here, it's completed, and I am in love with it. So this is a look at it far back against the back opposite wall of the apartment. Looking at it from here, it is pretty small, but truthfully, we wanted the area to stay pretty open. And just to give you some perspective, the front door, that's a closet, is behind this wall here. And so it's nice when you come in. Let me give you an intro, like an entry view of it. So this is the view standing from the front entrance. So I really like that it doesn't bump out too far. It doesn't overtake the wall. It's a huge wall, but we have other things like the dog's bowls here and everything. My mom wants to put a little entry bench under there as well. So the size of this plant wall is perfect for us. I didn't really want it to be a jungle wall. I love jungle walls, but the aesthetics of our apartment, of it being pretty light and airy, kind of industrial style, we didn't want it to be too heavy. At least I didn't want it to be too heavy, and also have to consider the fact that yes, I'm a plant lover. My mom likes plants as well, but she's not a collector, so I don't want to overtake the space with my plants. So this is a little bit closer look, and then we thought it'd be nice to just include some family photos to spruce it up so that it's not just plants, but it's a feature wall. Looking at it now, I do wish that this plant was a little smaller or that the photo frame was a little higher. So that's something that we might change and move that up a little bit, just so that this Adansonia is not butted up against that. But yeah, let's do a little quick mini tour of all the plants up here. And if anything comes to mind, like tips, do's and don'ts, tricks, I won't mention them. Also including the light source, not the bulbs, but the lamp itself is also from Amazon. It is adjustable. The bulbs can be turned. For some reason, this one was really tight and I didn't have a ladder at the time. So now that I have a ladder, I'm gonna turn that light bulb, but you can put any light bulb in there you like. These are just the stock lights that came from maintenance. And we got that so that this wall will have sufficient light. Although we do have these huge windows here, it is quite a way away from that window. This area gets enough light, but I wasn't sure that this one would, so that's why we wanted to include this light here. One thing about this light, before I get into the plants, it is connected to this switch on the wall here. So the only disadvantage with that is if you use a feature that way, it is controlled with whatever other light is connected to that switch. So therefore, all of the other lights in our living room comes on just when we turn that light on. You could solve that problem by installing like a pendant light hanging down, and if you're near an outlet, you could do it that way and solve that issue. But I thought it just looked really nice this way. So even though we have that slight annoyance, I think it just looks better, and it looks so much more seamless and clean to me that way. So now, after all of that, let's get into the plants. We picked up a neon philodendron. I believe this is the philodendron, or is it the neon pothos? Wow, I should have known before I pulled it up. It might be a neon pothos, but either way, it's one of the two. They look very similar, pretty much exactly the same actually. And I have it in the original soil that it came in, but I also filled it with my own soilless mix. And this is what I was talking about earlier. These whole hook situations, it's like a keyhole. You're supposed to be able to put the screw in here and then slide it down, but this part is not quite large enough for this screw. So that's what I was fighting with earlier. But yeah, it came as a 3-piece set with these 3 here. So this Adansonia I already had growing in pond, so it is now in soil. I used some of that dense soil that came in one of these plants with this instead because, it being in pond, I feel that it needed a little more moisture because it was going to be going to soil, which would dry out more than pond. So packed in that dense soil mix first, and then used my soil free mix on top because that is a very loose, airy mix. And this is what I meant by I used these plant stakes here to kind of push down these vines so that they will hopefully root in here. These are pretty sturdy. They're Amazon. I didn't really care for the mounting system, but they're not going anywhere. Definitely recommend soil if you're gonna do wall plants because it's lighter than semi-hydro. Next one is your classic heartleaf philodendron, gorgeous, lush beauty. These two I should say are from Lowe's. Just got them yesterday. Another tip that I think was helpful, especially if you were taking plants from another place in your home, like the Adansonii and pretty much all the other plants here, before I actually planted them on the wall, I just let them sit in their nursery pot in the shelf or on the table or in this area so that it can get used to the lighting and the humidity or all of the environment. They can just get used to it before I permanently plant it in the wall, because the last thing I want to do is put it in the plant on the wall and then it dies and now I have to change it out. I don't really want to change these plants anytime soon. So moving on, we have a Pothos and Joy. I've had this growing for quite a while and I'm kind of shocked that it's growing so well for me because I've had issues with it in the past, but the person that I got it from, it was already a cute little full thing, and so it just continued to fill out nicely. So I think that's perfect for that spot. These two came together and I really like these because this part here is removable without even having to remove this, but even so, it is a hook. I was skeptical about this type of wall attachment, but baby, this is not going anywhere. These 4 nails in here is not going anywhere. So, and again, it's a pretty light, airy soil. Got the sable blue here as well. So those are probably my favorite of all the ones that I purchased. The other ones, this here goes with this one and this one, so it's kind of like an assorted shelf mix. This is really nice, but the way this is here, this is not to be removed every so often to water the plant. This is for it to stay here. So, and I learned that this is not sealed. So I just have to be careful when I water it, not to overwater it, because I don't want water dripping down the wall. That's the only thing. But again, these I prefer for sure. All of the links will be in the description of each item that I've used. In the center here, the star of the show, the round shelf, which I'm sure we've seen like all over Amazon. They have it on Wayfair. This one, I'm not gonna lie, was a lot smaller than I expected it to be. If I step back, you can see that it's no bigger really than the frames around it. So that was slightly disappointing, I'm not gonna lie, but once I got it up on the wall, I realized it's fine, because the bigger it was meant the bigger the plants had to be, and that means the bigger the work, it has to be. So I just lined it up first. That was the first piece I put up, and lined it up with the center so that it could be lined up with the light, and then I placed everything else around it. You probably saw in the previous clip me and my mom just kind of stepping back over and over again, looking to see how we wanted everything. We didn't want it to be placed so particularly and even, and like we just wanted it somewhat scattered but not a mess, So in case I didn't mention, this is Philodendron Brazil. This plant is a bunch of cuttings that I cut and rooted in my room, and then moved it here, and I took it from my big Brazil over there. It's not looking very lush right now. It did not take well to the transfer, but we'll talk about that later. Anyways, we were up here, sorry. Peperomia, possibly Oyantha, possibly reticulata, not sure. I've had this for a while. I got it in a trade. I'm not sure what I traded it for. They gave me this and a Snow Queen, and it has been growing very slowly, and it has a very little root system. So this is the only plant up here that is in sorta kinda semi-hydro, and I say sorta kinda because there's also some soil in here. It was rooting in perlite, and upon potting it into this pot, I discovered how very little roots it had. So I didn't shake off too much of the perlite. I put a little bit of this same soil mix at the bottom, but then I decided at the last minute to just fill it with pond because I didn't want it to dry out and die. So the probably top half is all pond. And so with this being so tiny, I'm not worried about it being heavy or anything like that. It is still though in a drain vessel. It's not drainless, so I still have to water it like a regular plant, but I think it looks so perfect and dainty there. Love it. I also am rooting a linearis, so who knows? That's another thing. All of these plants that are here now, they are not going to stay here permanently. They may be switched out at some point. I may change what I want to grow on here, or something I find is not growing well on here. And for these little pots, the only thing I could imagine putting in here are little tiny succulents. So I picked this one up yesterday. This one as well. My mom picked these two out from Lowe's, I think $5 for each of them. And then I already had this cute little one growing. I'm a little worried about this one only because this was growing in the sunroom and now it's here. So we'll see if it's happy, because it's definitely not as much light. And then the last two, one of my favorites, Philadelphia Rio from my friend Saida. And then I got a heartleaf, variegated heartleaf philodendron. I don't love these pots at all. They're too big. I was stuck between, because when I had more of these, I'm like, well, that's too small, so I need something bigger. This claims it was 2-inch pot. This claims 2.5, 3-inch pot. Someone's lying. Someone is lying. This has to be like 1.5-inch pot, and this is like 3.5-inch pot. Either way, I needed something in between the two, because I had that up there and it was too small for the plant and the shelf. But we're here. I will say though, even though these pots are too large, the quality, what they included in these pots was really nice. It came with the saucer, of course. It comes with a wire mesh plug. It comes with leca for some strange reason, and it comes with a felt pad to put under here. I didn't put it there now, but it came with everything, 4-piece. I think maybe $30 or something like that. It's a nice pot. It comes with great things, but it's just too big for the shelf. So I do think somewhere down the line, I will be changing it out. So yeah, this is the plant wall. I'm happy that it's finally finished. And if you're trying to create your own plant wall, I hope that you find this inspiring, but don't rush. Take your time. This was literally months and months in the making, but I'm happy that I took my time doing it because I love how it turned out. And don't think that just because you've created your plant wall that that's it, like it's gonna be like that. It's gonna change. Just like plants are ever changing, this wall is gonna ever change. I'm gonna change the plants that's on here, not that often, but you'll start to see like, okay, this is growing well, this is not growing as well, maybe I should change it out. Like I already know I want to put my Piper crocatum up here somewhere. It's living on the floor and I feel like it should just be on this wall. I don't have anything right this moment that I would switch it out for, maybe besides this Adamsonii I would want to switch it out for, but I'm gonna let it live there for a little bit because we just put her there. But I definitely have that on my list. Okay, that's what I want to grow on this wall next. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have tried building a plant wall. Send me some pictures. One of you guys a long time ago sent me, they built this like massive wild like wood wall thing that they had their plants on, and it was amazing. So always feel free to DM me on Instagram your ideas or your plant walls that you've created yourself. I love looking at that type of stuff. I think it's just so cool to see the things that people can create. So I will see you in the next one.